America has a new president, and he's steering America in a new direction, without Congress. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Today is a great day for democracy.
The work of the moment and the work of the next 4 years must be the restoration of democracy. We are a democracy. Of our democracy. Democracy. A democracy.
And nothing says democracy like signing 42 presidential executive actions since taking office. Those 42 executive actions include executive orders, memoranda, and proclamations. There are some technical differences between the three, but they all basically direct the executive branch of the federal government to do certain things. Think of it like a bunch of laws or rules, but without Congress actually passing any bills. There's been a lot of concern over the past few presidents about the expanding use of executive orders because they increase the power of the executive branch. Usually, Democrats get really concerned when there's a Republican president, and vice versa. According to the Federal Register, President Trump signed 220 executive orders in 4 years, while President Obama signed 276 executive orders in 8 years. And one of the first controversies during Biden's presidency has been his liberal use of executive orders in just his first week and a half in office. Even the New York Times editorial board suggested that, maybe ease up, Joe. Now you might think, fact check, did Joe Biden just set a modern record for executive orders in his first week? And the answer is that's mostly true. Okay, it is actually true. He has issued a modern record number in his first days in office, far outpacing his immediate predecessors. However, many of these actions are aimed at reversing controversial policies from the previous administration. Oh, well, if they were just to reverse Trump's policies, then they don't count. They do count, of course they do, because obviously reversing Trump's policies is very important. But they don't count as executive orders, even though they were executive orders. Is that mostly true, or just mostly confusing? Anyway, what's in all those very important executive orders? I'm not going to tell you, because that would take 3 hours. And frankly, some of them are just symbolic and don't really change U.S. policy. Others are just pieces of a larger change in direction for the U.S. government. So in this episode, instead of listing all 42 executive actions, let's look at some of the key issues where the Biden administration is taking a new direction and how his executive orders paved the way. Starting with social justice. Now, most people would not describe Joe Biden as woke. He's more like my refrigerator. Old, white, and full of ideas that seemed good a long time ago, but are a lot less palatable today. But when it comes to promoting equity across race and gender, Joe Biden has signed several executive orders that his younger, woker staff wrote for him. This executive order on advancing racial equity orders federal government agencies to conduct equity assessments and come up with plans for addressing underserved communities. It's partly symbolic, but theoretically, all agencies have 1 year to come up with a plan to address equity problems. This is a big shift from Trump, who simply did not make it part of his agenda. Biden also signed this executive order to combat discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. It demands that the government should follow existing laws that already prevent discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. There's also this memorandum to combat racism and xenophobia against Asian Americans, which may have increased since COVID-19. Like the previous executive order, this memorandum doesn't really do anything except say we should follow the existing laws. But it shows the administration is concerned about the problem. And lastly, this executive order reverses Trump's ban on transgender people serving in the military. Out of 1.3 million people who serve in the U.S. military, this only directly affects several thousand. But it suggests that over the next 4 years, the Biden administration will likely take a position that is very pro-trans. New Assistant Health Secretary Rachel Levine is proof. And right after the break, how Biden is using executive orders to solve the coronavirus. Welcome back. The coronavirus. Now, according to sources, Joe Biden is inheriting a non-existent coronavirus vaccine distribution plan and must start from scratch. Oh my gosh, Trump had no plan? Oh wait, never mind. If you actually read the article, it quotes Dr. Fauci as saying, we're not starting from scratch, and that Biden is just making changes to Trump's plan. Either way, Joe Biden has signed 13 executive orders related to the coronavirus. Some of them won't have much of an impact, like the executive order that requires people to wear masks on federal property. I mean, for the most part, people were already doing that. Though there have been exceptions, like inside the White House, which is federal property. But obviously, presidential executive orders are just from the president. They don't apply to the president. Anyway, the coronavirus executive orders also included one on general workplace safety and one on travel safety. This one requires masks to be worn on airplanes, trains, and buses, the places that have already been requiring masks. So what's the point of making it an executive order? Well, as a result of Biden's executive order, the CDC has issued a federal mask mandate. That means that not wearing a mask on public transit is now a violation of federal law. So, could you get arrested for it? The CDC said people violating the order could potentially face criminal penalties, but suggested civil penalties would be more likely if needed. There's also an executive order that pushes for reopening schools, which is great. Probably nothing will better help underserved communities recover like getting people's kids back in school for in-person learning. Except, opening schools is actually in the hands of the state governors, and this presidential order can't actually make governors change their policies. But it does demand the Secretary of Education provide evidence-based guidance to schools in deciding whether and how to reopen. Now, under the Trump administration, the CDC had already provided a simple, color-coded guidance for school reopening based on risk level. But under Biden's new plan, all color-coded risk categories must now be treated equally. The environment. We've had a 4-year bacchanal of coal and oil and fracking like it's 1999. But the Biden administration is putting its foot down. We're all grounded, and we're going to pay for our debauchery with $1.7 trillion. It'll be a blow to big oil, and not in the way we've been doing it since 1999. On day one, Biden rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement. And just like in Paris, America's energy needs will now be powered entirely by baguettes. Just kidding. France is actually powered mostly by nuclear energy. It's about 70% of their energy output. But Biden's plan for tackling climate change doesn't seem to be pro-nuclear. It mentions wind and solar a lot, but it doesn't provide a specific plan for how America will replace coal, oil, and natural gas. But at least it will make them more expensive. Speaking of which, this order revokes the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline that would have brought more Canadian oil to the U.S. We did a whole episode about that last week, so watch that one for more details. And finally, immigration. There could be big changes after this final break. Welcome back. President Biden loves immigration. This Biden proclamation ends Trump's Muslim ban. Trump's Muslim ban wasn't technically a ban on Muslims, or technically a ban. What it actually did was put entry restrictions on people from 13 foreign countries, 8 of which are mostly Muslim, but all of which were thought to pose a terrorism-related security risk to the United States. Biden's order revokes all of Trump's orders on the issue and says the U.S. will instead apply a rigorous, individualized vetting system. Speaking of immigrants, President Biden signed this memorandum to extend DACA. DACA is an Obama-era program that allows illegal immigrants who came to the U.S. as children to stay. Technically, it's also a Trump-era program, because Trump had repeatedly extended it after Congress repeatedly failed to pass a law about it. And now, DACA is a Biden-era program too. Clearly, Biden doesn't have any faith that his Democratic Party-led House and Senate will fix the issue. So, his executive order just kicks the can further down the road, which is always better than dealing with the can now. There are about 700,000 illegal immigrants who are part of DACA, but they're just a small part of the estimated 11 million total illegal immigrants in the U.S. Many illegal immigrants have sought refuge from immigration and customs enforcement by living in sanctuary cities, cities that try to shield them from being deported. And with this executive order, President Biden extended protection for those sanctuary cities. This order revokes President Trump's executive order from 4 years ago. Trump's order had said that sanctuary cities were breaking the law and would therefore not receive federal grants. Biden's executive order simply cancels that, saying my administration will reset the policies and practices for enforcing civil immigration laws. The cities that shield illegal immigrants will still be violating U.S. law, but the Biden administration does not intend to punish them for it. Meanwhile, this executive order would incorporate illegal immigrants into the U.S. Census. It reverses a Trump policy that did not count illegal immigrants in the 2020 census. The census may sound boring and stupid, and why do I have to fill out this dumb form every 10 years? But it's actually a huge deal. Results from the census directly determine how many congressional representatives each state gets, as well as what portion of federal resources go where. With this new order, states with more illegal immigrants, which are mostly blue states, could show higher populations in the next census, and therefore be granted more political power in Washington. But the next census isn't until 2030. That's plenty of time for the next president to reverse Biden's order, and then for the next president to reverse that order. And if by 2030 the Earth hasn't been destroyed by giant robots fighting underwater aliens, then we can worry about the census. Speaking of stopping aliens, this executive order terminates Trump's executive order that declared illegal immigration across the southern border a national emergency requiring a wall. Biden's executive order states, "It shall be the policy of my administration that no more American taxpayer dollars be diverted to construct a border wall." Wait, so does that mean America is not going to finish the border wall? Or does it mean Mexico is finally going to pay for it? Neither. That's right, it doesn't actually mean an end to the border wall. Because apparently, even though the executive order starts out by claiming taxpayers won't pay for the wall, it contradicts itself later by saying exceptions can be made for urgent matters, or if Congress simply decides to fund the wall. So while Joe Biden will certainly not have Trump's rhetoric when it comes to the border wall,
build that wall, build that wall,
his policy may end up being more like Obama's.
We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country.
Or not. You never really know with these things. And those are only a small portion of the 42 executive actions that President Biden signed in his first 10 days in office. So watch out, Congress. If you don't do your job, President Biden will do your democracy for you. But there's a problem with using executive orders to accomplish things that should be passed through legislation. And it's not just because it could give the executive branch too much power. Just like Biden was able to sign executive orders that reversed Trump's executive orders, the next Republican president could just sign more executive orders that reverse Biden's executive orders, that reverse Trump's executive orders, and you can see where this is going. Giant robots. Thanks for watching. Episodes like this are possible because of direct support from viewers like you. Go to patreon.com/AmericaUncovered and contribute $1 or more per episode. That's the main way we pay for all the resources that go into making each episode for you. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.